Okay, here we go. Everyone, welcome. If you're just joining us, let's see if I see your smiling faces coming in hot to Reimagine Art Responders. I'm seeing those of you joining. Thank you for being here on this Wednesday. We're so excited for this, at this point, the final episode of our Art Responders series with the guest we've been waiting for many. Mandolin Orange is in the house with us. We're very excited to be with you. If you're just joining us, check out the chat button at the bottom of your screen. You can click on the chat. And if you want to say where you're calling in from and maybe your history with Mandolin Orange, have you heard Mandolin Orange before? Have you met Emily or Andrew? Do you know their music? What's your prior experience? And how does that music make you feel? Let's see if we get any takers there in the chat as you're calling in. Usually it takes a second. Here we go. All right. Hooray. Saw you in Nashville and Brooklyn. Neat. Okay. So we have some fans that are in the house. And then if you're a first timer, I want to hear from you too. We got bottom of the hill in San Francisco. That's right by the street where I live. So it's cool that you guys were in the hood in San Francisco. Okay, fabulous. We're really, and then Audra, I just want to give a shout out that your music was critical to getting through her father's death, and that's some of the theme that we're going to be talking about today. So that's really, really right on point. Thank you for being here. Thanks to everyone for being here, and thank you to Andrew and Emily for joining us. My name is Brad. I am the founder of Reimagine. Reimagine is a nonprofit organization that, if you're new to us, welcome to our community, our family. We are an organization that's focused really on the hardest parts of life. We think about death, serious illness, grieving, the disparities and inequities around how we live and how we die in this country, grief. But really what we're doing is looking at those things and asking, in facing those hardest parts of life, how might that actually make us live our lives more fully? What does it teach us about life and celebrating the people that are important? How do we care for the people that matter most? How do we live our life with intention? How do we love this planet? And how do we respond in these hard times? And really, this Art Responder series is about how we respond through our own voice, our own creativity. And we have two people who have really done that so beautifully. So I want to give a big shout out now to our sponsors. So this event is part actually of a larger festival that we're putting on, Reimagine Life, Loss, and Love. We've had about 700 virtual events since the pandemic began, all focused on these themes of life, loss, and love, and 35,000 registrants. Thank you so much for being here. And we could not have done it without these sponsors that you see before you. Today I want to acknowledge with generosity The Memories. They're listed here for underwriting this work. The Memories is an online alternative to traditional obituaries that enables family and friends to share photos, quotes, memories, and condolences for loved ones. And to offer their support during this time, The Memories has made all of their life stories free to post. For more information on creating a free life story, you can visit thememories.com. Very much suggest that. Thank you also to all of you out there who have donated to make this possible. We really rely on your donations, and you were able to do so as you came in. But if you feel inclined to support us in this work, offering free programming around these themes, thank you so much. Another shout out to our friends at CTAC. This series has been in partnership with CTAC. They are the Coalition to Transform Advanced Care. They're a nonprofit, nonpartisan advocacy organization dedicated to the ideal that all Americans with advanced illness receive comprehensive, high-quality, person and family-centered care that is consistent with their goals and values and honors their dignity. And that's something, as an organization, we care a lot about, thinking about the values that each of us have and how we might honor those values all the way through the end of our lives. So thank you to CTAC. So here are some cats. These are the cats of my colleague Dara. We used to have her face on this screen, but she then thought her cats were cuter, although I'm not going to comment on that. The cats are very cute. Indeed, they are teaching us some things about Zoom if you're new to Zoom. For this session, if you want to keep your microphones off is best, because this is going to be a listening, and then we're going to be able to ask some questions. And the questions we're going to ask Emily and Andrew of Mandolin Orange are going to come from me. And then also, if you use the chat button as you watch the performance, or if anything comes up, why don't you chat your question to me, and we'll see if we can get to some of your questions during this hour together. Finally, just want to make sure that you know that you can close the chat window if it feels distracting for whatever reason. And if you can keep your video on, we much prefer it so we can see your smiling faces, though you can be anonymous if you so choose. So now I want to turn to this intention that we read before each Reimagine event to set the context of what we're doing together. And I'm going to take one volunteer from the audience. Bruna, if you could help me and assist me in finding somebody who can read the intention. If no one volunteers that I can see quickly by raising a hand, I know who I'm going to call on. So let me see if I see anyone out there. Bruna, do you see anyone?
Not yet, Brad. You can also volunteer on the chat if you'd like.
No, I'm just going to
somebody.
Oh, you found Andrew found someone.
Jeremy Smith. But I don't know how to work Zoom, so Jeremy Smith.
Jeremy,
looks like he's raised his hand.
You're unmuted, Jeremy, if you'd like.
It's all you, Jeremy. This is the moment of intentionality. Silence is also a really important part of our beginning process here.
I see Wayne. Hi, Wayne. Would you like to read the intention? Okay.
So we're going to get Wayne to unmute. I'm going to ask him to unmute.
Unmute.
There you go. All right, Wayne. Where are you calling in from?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
All right. Thank you,
You
Wayne.
hear me well?
If everyone wants to close their eyes and listen to Wayne, we can just be in this space together with our eyes closed.
There is no life without death, no love without loss. They are in constant complementary motion. In the face of distance, illness, racism, and isolation, we are here together, reimagining a changed world, kinder, slower, and more just. We are reimagining the giving and receiving of love, the cycles of loss and new beginnings, and what it means to be fully alive. We are here.
Thank you, Wayne. Honestly, you have a gorgeous voice.
My pleasure.
Y'all should record that and use that more often.
Oh, that is recorded. We have that for posterity. Wayne, we're taking you to the top. Thank you so much. Seriously, that set a really nice intention for what we're doing together and why we're all together here. And so, with Wayne's really, really wonderful introduction, I am very grateful to introduce what we're doing together. We're here as part of this Art Responders series where we've been hosting a diverse mix of musicians and artists and comics and writers who are each grappling with the themes of loss, grief, and death, processing what it means to be human in this moment. And so tonight is the conclusion of the series, where we're going to get to hear from a very special duo, Mandolin Orange. So the North Carolina-based husband and wife duo is a singer-songwriter, Andrew Marlin, and the multi-instrumentalist, Emily Franz. It's been said that Mandolin Orange's music feels like whispered secrets, one hand cupped to your ear. Their album, Tides of a Teardrop, which came out in February of 2019, confronts a defining loss head-on. Andrew's mom, who died of complications from surgery when he was 18, and we're gonna hear about that. And really, their music is beautiful, and we'll talk about it before, but Reimagine had planned a festival in June in New York City, and the whole impetus for our opening night, we had this big vision, and the centerpiece of the entire thing was this duo here, Mandolin Orange. We were so excited for this festival, and this was pre-COVID, And that was our dream, and we were so excited that you were going to be at that festival, and we were going to be together in New York City to launch this initiative in person where we could be together. And then this pandemic has happened, and now we're at the end of the Art Responder series. It's been a couple months. We've gone through all these events, all these ups and downs in our own lives, and this now is the final event of the Art Responder series. So things have really come full circle. To be here, to have you as the beginning, and then now you're the end, and it just seems apropos of this conversation about beginnings and endings that we're going to have. And with that, I want to turn it over to both of you who are going to set up the music that you're going to share with us today before we then have a conversation. So for everyone who knows, we're going to have about 20 minutes of beautiful music, and then we're going to conclude with a Q&A with Emily and Andrew. So I'm going to turn it over to Emily and Andrew to set the scene for us here.
Cool. Yeah, Em, do you wanna take that?
Sure. Yeah. Hey, everybody. So we recorded a set of a few songs to play for you guys. We wish that it had been in person, but it was pretty easy for us to find some tunes that out of our catalog that felt relevant to talking about the end of life and processing grief. And we have a lot of music that confronts that topic. So we played a few of those tunes and are interested to talk to everybody afterward.
All right, let's roll your performance. It's so beautiful, and I can't wait to see it again for the first time.
Time
understand and try to help me share trouble that you've got burning, and you can help me, and then our time together, her memory will ever shine like golden embers in the night. So low. No. Well, old man, give me endless time. Never let these ties sever. Breaking bottles in the yard, never steal my mind. Like old ties and companions, just sitting on the fence. The tunes that carry through the years will change. Man, that's just enough to keep these ghosts around those haunted feet. But old ties and companions, you and I were just passing through.
All right, let's try to see if we can get that fixed. I don't know if you guys are hearing that. Yeah. We're having some technical difficulties. Cole, do you hear that? All right, it seems like everyone's experiencing the same thing. Cole, if you want to stop it for 1 sec, maybe we can just turn it over for a minute. It is a cool remix. Let's see if I can. I'm going to see if I can stop this video for 1 sec. All right. All right. Well, while we figure out the performance issue, it's so funny. Part of the reason we Mandolin Orange sounds so good, we wanted to make sure we captured you in your full entirety with such good audio, which we can do in Zoom, but it's so hard to come across normally. But here you are in person. So part of what we wanted to do is have a chat with you, and your words, come out in multiple ways, via song and then via just the sound of your voices. So maybe, when you're playing a show, let's just start with this. When you're playing a show and something goes wrong, how do you deal with it?
Well, normally you could react in real time and look at the people that you're playing for or there with. And I think one of the issues with Zoom and just streaming in general is that even though you're having these conversations, it still feels pretty isolated, So, yeah, I wish we could have all been together at the actual festival, but you just adapt, and change what you're doing. So if that's what we've got to do here, that's what we'll do.
Amen. I mean, I guess one of the reasons I'm excited to talk to you is I'm a songwriter myself who loves the process of writing music, and I just so appreciate the songcraft and the heart that comes in your music. And I guess in my own life, I've seen some of the worst things end up being, sometimes those mistakes on stage or whatever can end up being some of the most magical moments.
Yeah, I mean, we're all human, and we need that reminder sometimes. I think especially in people's day to day, that strive for perfection gets in the way sometimes of actual beauty. So maybe this little glitch will end up being a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a good set anyway.
Say that again, Emily.
I said it wasn't really a good set anyway.
I thought it was a good set.
I'm just kidding.
So no, I'm actually really excited to, and I hope everyone else is, to hear from you. And by the way, Cole, if you figure out the audio situation on the back end, do let me know. But I'm actually very excited to be in conversation with Emily and Andrew right now. So just ping me, hop in, and if something changes here. But so Emily and Andrew, why don't you tell us? Let's start with what we're kind of why you're here, which is around these themes. And I know, Andrew, you're the songwriter of the group, and Emily, you two are a partnership in music and in life, and have been there to explore these themes together as Andrew grapples with them through the song. Maybe, Andrew, you can tell us about the process of music related to your own healing, and talk about your mom and just how music's been part of this journey for you.
Yeah, it's it's a very large subject, and it's a very confusing one as well, because I first started playing music and really got interested in it just by listening to my mom. She was a piano player, and I reference that a lot in different songs. But the way I came to music and I think learned to express myself through it is that it was just kind of part of my chemical makeup. She played her whole life, and I guess because of that, my whole life, and I think a part of me, because she played gospel music, really has those melodies and that sentimentality and that like reverence just kind of just pent up, and I needed to figure out a way to express myself through song, but obviously a little differently than what she was doing, because I sing gospel tunes, but that's not what I'm really called to do. And so I think that when she went into the hospital, and then when it started winding down to where we knew that she wasn't going to come out, is when I truly started writing songs. And they weren't always directly about, what I was going through with the loss of her. But I think that's one great thing about songwriting, is that it can be very loose, and it can be very just open. And even though you're not talking directly about this one thing that's obviously eating at you, it's still healing in a way. So I think that was what was so special about Tides of a Teardrop for me, is that I was finally able to see a little more clearly, after so many years of writing songs about whatever, that I was actually able to put some clarity to some of that grief, and and I think in turn kind of let go of it a little bit. So I don't know if that answered the question. It was a little rambly, but
No, that's beautiful. What was, I'm curious, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your mom, and what you loved about her, and how you remember her.
That's something I'm still working on. I loved her because she was my mom, and I think about that now with, my kid, where like you don't, it's hard to pinpoint the things that set, someone that close to you apart, and you don't really, it's almost like you take it for granted, like was just went to see a friend, and just yesterday, and we were watching a bird fly, and we were like, man, how amazing is that? How like effortless it was. They were just floating on this hot air. And I said, just as everyone in their life probably says, wouldn't it be great to be a bird and be able to just float on the air? And it got kind of quiet for a second. He said, yeah, but I bet he takes it for granted, and it was a really perfectly timed, and to me it had a lot of weight to it. I think there are so many things about my mom and what she did for me, and who she was as a person, that was so everlasting. You know what I mean? It's like you think of your parents as being these immortal creatures that are just like, can do no wrong, because they're constantly telling you what you're doing wrong. So you think of them as being these perfect beings. And so when I lost her, the things that made her who she was as an individual hadn't yet started registering yet, because I was still so young. And 18 is not, 6 or 7, or 8, but it's still young in your adult life. And I never got to know her on a really individual basis. She was always just my mom, So that's something that I struggle with, and I'm starting to, finally now, after all these years, remember the little things that made her who she was, and, made our relationship different than hers with my sister or, my dad. So, yeah, I think it's just an ongoing process for me, and I wish I had a clearer answer, but it's not there.
Well, it sounds like, it's coming out in some beautiful ways, whether or not you know it or not, through the tunes, right? So it's neat how it just comes out uh, when maybe you don't expect it or intend to, and there it is.
Yeah.
And I think you can hear that in your music. So Emily, we have this question in the chat from Jeremy Smith, who's asking, what other artist songs have helped you through grief? And both of you, I'm sure, Andrew, we're talking about your mom, and then Emily, I'm sure we've all gone through things in our lives. What music or what songs, when you've had to turn to face these hard things in life, have been there for you in these moments?
I mean, I feel like there have probably been any number of specific songs at specific times over the years, but one thing that we've both really gravitated to in the past couple of years, which is kind of interesting because we play such lyrical music and that's such a big part of what we do, but we've both found ourselves really gravitating to a lot of instrumental music. And I think that was always true for me, even back before we were playing music together, that there's something like so deeply emotional feeling about just music with no words, where you're just experiencing the way chord changes or melodies can just like pull a feeling out of your body. And I think that can be really therapeutic too, because it's not so specific. You're just following your feelings.
Mm. Thanks. Andrew, do you have a thought on this one?
Yeah. Yeah, when mom was in the hospital, I got turned on to that Coldplay record, Rush of Blood to the Head. And that is some emotional music. And yeah, that was one of my go-tos. And I actually put that on for the first time since I was like 19, maybe, like, and actually listened to it in earnest, like, you know, with the speakers cranked probably louder than they should be. And it just brought back that entire time and those feelings again. And it's really wild how, you know, by listening to those tunes, how much that time is attached to those lyrics and to those sounds, and how easily accessible it is in your brain and in your memory and in your emotions, that you can go right back there. And I like just felt that again. I felt 18 and I could feel that loss coming on again just by putting that one record on. So definitely that album. But I think recently one of the albums that's hit me the most powerfully was this record by Jeremy Udine or Uden. I don't know how you say his name. Uden. It's Uddeen, and the name of the album is Plainville. And the first song is called Plainville. And when that song comes on, it was like it was like finding a friend in a song that knew exactly how I felt and knew exactly what I needed. And there was a buddy of mine, Clint, who plays bass with us in Mandolin Orange, showed me that record. And I think that was 2 years ago. And since then, I've tried to tell as many people as I can about this one song in particular, but the whole record is fantastic. And yeah, I'd say that's an instrumental record, like Emily was saying, you know, been latching on to that. But that one tune especially has been probably one of the more therapeutic songs I've heard in a long time.
I guess I'm interested in this idea of what, when you're listening to music or your own music or the Coldplay record, do you see it in imagery when you think about a song? Like, are there you talked about your mom, are there specific memories like that hit you, or is it a feeling? Is it, you know what I mean? Are you seeing things, or is it both, or is there something you could tell us, a scene perhaps that gets created when you're listening to that Coldplay record?
When I'm listening to that Coldplay record, I think about driving down Interstate 85 from Warrenton, North Carolina to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which is where she was in the hospital. And I just remember those like super long drives, and you know how it is when you're riding down the road, especially by yourself. There's a lot of thinking and processing that happens if you're not looking at your phone, which you shouldn't be. And that's kind of where I go to when I listen to that album in particular. You know, whether I'm sitting still or not, I feel like I'm riding down the road and I'm having to process all of these feelings again. So, but I think that answers your question. There was another part to that, but I don't remember what it was.
No, that was perfect. I mean, so when you write your own music and when you guys are creating music, do you have a hope for how people feel, or an intention around what you're hoping people take from it? Or is it are you more thinking, we created these tunes for us, and whatever they get out of it, they get out of it? Do you have a hope for us as your listener?
You know, not to seem selfish, but not really. I think it's such a personal endeavor, you know, that it's hard to think about other people sometimes, you know, unless I'm writing a song with maybe Emily in mind for her to sing, you know. And there are a few times where I write songs from friends' perspectives, or like if I hear a story that I feel like needs to be told, I'll write a song about that. But for the most part, the intention is to have the song be as honest as we can make it, and to have it be as concise as possible too. I don't like rambly songs. I like it to be pretty concise. Um, so that's kind of where I come at it from a songwriter point of view. And I think because of that, the songs do come out being something that we like to sing over and over because it doesn't have any filler. You know, I try to keep that out of it because, you know, the intention is to be honest and to put out honest music. And I hope that, you know, if I am thinking about the listener, that when they come to that, they're hearing it for that reason. Like, we're not trying to just shake people into liking our music. You know, hopefully the people that are coming to it for the same reasons that we write it, you know, which is just to come across as honest as possible and to tackle some of these emotions and some of these losses in a pretty direct way.
And Emily, Wayne would love to hear your input on that question. I mean, I maybe to build on it a little bit, when you hear Andrew show you a song, for example, how do you react when you hear one of his songs? Are you asking what the meaning is? Are you putting your own meaning into it? Like, how does that relationship go around what the songs mean for you?
Yeah, I feel like every song is a little different. Sometimes Andrew's process of writing a song is long and drawn out, and I'm hearing it piece by piece, and we're talking about it as it comes. And other times he writes it all in one sitting and presents it to me, and maybe we agree about what, you know, we hear in the song, and sometimes we don't. Not in the sense of disagreeing about what we should do with the song, but sometimes Andrew will write a song and then he'll tell me what it's about, and I'll be like, oh no, it sounds totally like you're saying this other thing. But we never really try to reconcile that. You know, that's just what makes it good, and that's what makes it so rewarding for everyone to come to these songs from their own experience, and it can mean different things to different people, and the fact that Andrew doesn't have other folks in mind when he's writing them, I think is probably the way it should be. And that definitely doesn't prohibit other people from connecting with the songs. I think if anything, that just makes them that much more relatable to people.
Yeah, I feel that in your music. Now, you know, I wish we don't have we do have a poll feature here, actually. How do I do this? I'm curious. I mean, I'm really enjoying this conversation. First of all, with both of you, just your honesty and I'm feeling like just getting pretty deep around this process that is at the base of your process. But I also am cognizant of, we have this beautiful music which you've recorded for us, and I want to be able to play some more of that if we have that queued up. Maybe we could play like Cole, if you have like a tune queued up, we could listen to another tune and then maybe come back and talk some more.
Cool.
You guys can do the voiceover for us too.
This is totally how we move in real life. Very robotic and slow blinking.
So, Cole, I'm noticing, here's what we're going to do. The nice thing is, this is the beauty of video. Like, what we can do is you can watch this private concert in the comfort of your own living room. After, you know, we can send you the video and you can watch it on your own laptop, but we only have Andrew and Emily live for these moments. Not that we weren't excited about both, but why don't we just go back? Not that, you know, I do appreciate the robotic nature of your movements there. That was,
We worked hard on it.
and this is, you know, this is what happens with Zoom. So I appreciate everyone out there for rolling with the punches here. I also want to invite our board chair, Jeannie Blaustein, is in the house here. And Jeannie was the first person who actually turned me on to your music. She said she's from New York, and she was really responsible for us doing this festival in New York City. And she said, "Oh, Mandolin Orange would be the best." And so we worked to make it happen. And she's on the call, and I really want her to have a chance to ask a question or two to both of you that she's curious. So Jeannie, I'm going to unmute you. Jeannie, as I mentioned, is our nonprofit board chair to everyone out there, and she's been such an instrumental part of Reimagine, her vision and support along the way. So it's really neat to have her be able to be here at this full circle moment when we couldn't be in New York together, but to then finally get to be with you two here.
Cool.
Hi, Jeannie.
Hi, Brad, and hi, Emily and Andrew. Wow, what a
Hi.
treat with you guys. It's like you're so close. It's wonderful. And I put in the chat that I heard you at the Ryman in Nashville. It was a big moment for you guys, and I was so excited to hear you there. So it's wonderful to have you as a part of Reimagine, and thanks so much for all of you for being here. I think sometimes I listen to your music and it's like a balm for my soul. And your harmonies and your chord progressions and everything just seems like they're coming directly out of you in a very organic way. And I guess I'm wondering what the experience is for you playing these songs, repeatedly when there is life on tour and when you are able to perform. What are you able to connect to the songs sort of each time when you're playing and when there are folks in the room with you?
Emily, I've been talking a bunch. Do you have something you want to say to that first?
Yeah, I mean, Brad and I talked about this a bit the other day, but how there are obviously exceptions, but when I think back on the days of being able to play live shows with audiences there, at least for us, I don't think there was a whole ton of song fatigue. I mean, that's just the beauty of playing music compared with almost anything else in the world, that like even though you're playing the same song over and over, it's not the same as doing most other tasks over and over. And you can be really present in whatever room you're in, and you're present with the people who are there, and you're all just experiencing it in that moment. That's something that I think we really miss about being able to play shows.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, like, because Emily and I both sing and we're both soloists as well, I think I've gotten to the point now where I'm not always feeling every lyric, and I'm not always feeling every harmony. But it's almost like I'm able to latch on to different things at different shows. Some nights I might be a little more interested in soloing than singing, but obviously I'm still doing both. But there are parts of the show that maybe I'm latching on to more than others. And then there's some nights where just like everything feels right, and the the lyrics are hitting in a special way, and the harmonies and the just the groove and the soloing and everything's matching up. And those are really special shows. And I actually remember the Ryman being one of those nights to where it felt like everything was landing. I don't know how it felt in the crowd. I can't speak for the listener, but as a player, it was like, this feels really good. I just saw, yes, we love Joe Venuti actually. But I need to get back to the question. But yeah, so I watched this one interview with Jerry Garcia, and he was being very open about how he felt at shows, and for the longest time he felt so aggressive and just mad at the band and mad at himself about how he thought the songs were coming out, to the point one time where he said he threw Bob Weir down a set of steps. But and then he said, but then I went back and I listened to that same show. He was like, and we actually sounded pretty good. And you could tell that, as he had been playing for however many decades at that point when he did this interview. He said that the way the great shows sounded and the way the bad shows sounded when he went back and listened to it weren't that different. But there's just so many emotions going on, anxieties sometimes, and or confidence, depending on how you're feeling, that are going on, and it creates this adrenaline that, to me, nothing else in the world has for me, at least. And I agree with Emily. I think she and I both, even as much as we were touring there for going on almost 11 years, like, miss that so much, because it is this really rare thing for our spirits and our emotions and our brains and our just the way we connect with crowds, that it, yeah, I miss it. And every show wasn't always perfect and every song wasn't always perfect, but I do think that we were always feeling some aspect of it because you can't help it. Yeah.
So I just want to, I'm curious, I've listened to your music a lot during the last few months of this pandemic. And I'm guessing that there are a lot of folks on the call who have also. I'm wondering what it's like for you to see that your music is a source of healing and hope for people. I know you said before you're not writing it for us, but what's it like to know that?
It feels great. It makes it feel worth it, and it makes it feel like makes you feel connected, which I think as a human being is one of the greatest things that you can ever feel, is to feel like people understand you and that there are other people like you and you're not alone in your happiness or your suffering. And if people are finding some of those same pathways internally that I'm trying to get out, I feel like in some ways with the song, I'm trying to find ways out of myself,
Mm-hmm.
And I guess on the other end of that, people are then taking those songs and finding pathways inside of themselves, which is a really wild exchange. And if that's happening, and I hear that people are actually finding that in our music, it's the most, it's the biggest compliment you can get, and it's also the most connected you can feel to another human being, I feel like.
Thank you guys so much. Brad, should I toss it back to you right now?
Yeah, let's see what your toss is like. All right. Perfect. Thank you, Jeannie. So nice to be with you, and it's so special to hear your wonderful questions. Those were really, really poignant questions, and the answers matched even exceeded the quality of the question, which says a lot. So I love this question that in the audience, James Randall asks, it dovetails on what Jeannie's getting at. Do you have a moment for yourselves, the most emotional moment at a concert that you can think back on?
Really random. At a festival in Ogden, Utah. We were playing our song Jump Mountain Blues, and there's this one part right after the second verse where the band really crescendos, and it was one of those moments for me that I felt like I was going to start crying right there on stage. But I'm also just like, I look for excuses to cry all the time, but it's like I was just moved to tears for some reason. I didn't know what it was. And I talked to this woman after the show, and she came up and she had tears in her eyes, and she said that at that exact same moment she burst out crying because she was thinking about a friend of hers who she had lost not too long before. And there's part of me that wonders if what she felt was so strong that it actually reached me and kind of pushed me to that moment. And because as many times as we played that song and we've had some emotional versions of it, it was a feeling that I hadn't felt before, and it didn't feel like it was coming from me. So I just remember that moment very clearly, and that was a powerful one.
Oh, I have some questions about that, but I want to hear from Emily.
Oh man, I'm having such a bad memory I saw that in the comments as well, and I've been trying to, there's one song in particular that I feel like we've had some particular, more than one, really, and Andrew, if you can remember, but there's been a handful of times playing Darling Girl, which is a very just direct lyrical tune that Andrew wrote that, talking to his sister about talking to his grandma about his
grandma.
mom, but he wrote it when he found out his sister was going to have a little girl, and just reflecting on the generations in his family. And I know there have been some really intense, for me, one of the more intense times was, we always play that song just the two of us as a duo, but there was one time at a local show, either 1 or 2 summers ago, in North Carolina, when we got a friend of ours, Alan Love, to play pedal steel with us on that song. And he just, I think we did it in the encore, and he just nailed it and had such a light touch. I mean, it's a very gentle song, but he just was barely, underneath with these chords that just elevated the whole. And so for me, again, it's that feeling of like the way the chords are being played and the instruments are almost affect me more emotionally, I feel like, than the lyrics themselves. And so that was a really intense time playing that song, I feel like.
Yeah,
But Andrew,
Emily.
there are other times with that same song.
I mean, we were chatting the other day just about the idea of that feeling, right? Like almost chasing that feeling. I mean, you don't know when it's going to happen in your life and in music. And so you can't plan for it, but maybe you can set some of the conditions for it. And I think, it's nice that I think this is one of the conditions, by the way, when we're all together in community and we're talking about things that actually matter, some of those moments happen. And same on a show, right? Where you're playing with the music and something happens, and then it just all of a sudden you get this feeling of elevation on your skin, and then the hair stands up, and you feel connected to something way beyond yourself, and you know that this life has this different quality that makes it all worth it. Andrew, I'm wondering, as we're getting near the top of the hour here, and I'm honestly so glad that we've had this time to chat.
There's plenty on YouTube. People can watch.
Yeah, but we're gonna send everyone out. I mean, we now have this beautiful content in the show that we're gonna show to everyone on this online here, and it's gonna take this whole different context for everyone who's been part of this call, which is gonna be neat. But I'm wondering, as we're getting near the top here, if you could tell me your answer to this question: what can death teach us about life?
Well, that's what I've been trying to figure out with all the songwriting. I mean, I think there's cliche but very real answers, which is like it teaches you to enjoy the moment, that this is not permanent. But yeah, I don't know. I would need to. I'd love to say something meaningful here, and I might need a second to think about it.
Well, we'll get Emily's deep answer first, and then we'll return to you. No pressure, Emily.
Yeah.
Life in 30 seconds.
I feel like I'm very much still learning about what death can teach us about life. And for me personally, most of that learning has come from being so close with Andrew and having had so many of these conversations over the years about a loss that has been so definitive for him that I, to this point in my life, have not had. And so personally, I've just experienced a lot of that secondhand. And I feel like I'm a baby on the journey to understand.
So, but does it make you, being where you are relative to Andrew, and here, does it make you more afraid of loss or more comfortable with it?
Probably the former. But it's not, I think probably there are people that ignore that aspect of life completely. And so I'm grateful that that's not the case for me. But I do know that the experience itself is something that can't be compared to anything else of loss.
Andrew, do you have a chance now to give us?
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts. I think one of the things that I have finally come like at peace with the loss of my mom is just how important my relationship is with my dad and how much I want to know him as a person. It's kind of like what when you asked me earlier, that I was never given the chance to be an equal with mom, that I get to hang out with my dad as a parent myself, and feel like I've I'm mature enough for him to have like human reactions to me and not just fatherly reactions to the things that I say or our differing opinions, you know. But I also think that, and this is a little off topic, but I do think it's important given the times. With mom not being here and with the way the world is right now, I do think that now knowing how to figure out how to phrase it, like I think that kindness is a really important thing that you should always try to throw out there, even right now in this time where like people are so separate from each other and there's this obvious wedge that is driven between us. It's that wedge isn't as important as not having the chance to truly love somebody or to truly get to know them, because if as soon as they're gone and you lose that opportunity. And I think instead of pointing the finger at people that maybe don't agree with us, maybe trying to love them that much harder and trying to get to know like what drove them to have that point of view and to want to separate themselves completely from an entire group of people. You know, and I think in showing them more love than hate right now is the only way that's going to bring people together and fix our current situation, I think. And I do think losing mom and like going through all of this has helped me to realize that, because there are worse things than death, you know. And I think suffering is one of those, and suffering on any level, you know. Right now I think we've got this huge global trauma that nobody's talking about, that a lot of our lives did kind of end in a way. Like mine and Emily's life was uprooted. You know, we were so used to traveling and being around all these people that were just like family to us, and all of a sudden we're just completely cut off from them, and we can't do this thing that we're so driven to do, which is play music for people and perform for them. So yeah, I think, I don't know, to sum it all up, I think death teaches you that there are worse things than death. And so to try and love the people that you don't necessarily agree with, and really love the people that you do love, you know, and let them know it. So I hope that answers it. It was rambling, but
no, I mean, I feel like the nice thing is that you said, you know, you can't be part of that family, but I am really just grateful that you've been part of our family for this time we've been together. And there's new families connecting every day. And though you don't have your guitars with you on this show, you know, your words, in some ways, I can't imagine a more beautiful performance than some of the things you just shared with us. So it's really special to see it come out of you. You know, that's the thing about music. I think it's an expression of what's inside. And so obviously your beautiful music is an expression of that. And then just who you are is just coming out right now for all of us together. And that's really, really special. I'm going to just want to make sure that people know how to follow you. I feel like you have a lot of great fans out there, and I'm glad we could give a little bit of behind the curtain look at some of your thinking about these themes. But everyone, please go to mandolinorange.com, their Twitter account, mandolin_orange, the Instagram, the same. There's some links below that I can't even see. They're so amazing on the screen. But we're going to send you some more detail, and we're going to send out this performance that we only got to see. It was like a preview. It was just now you're just waiting for it. So I'm excited that you're going to get a chance to leave with a gift. Thank you for being here. I want to let everyone know that for those of you who are having a hard time finding a way to honor the people in your life because maybe someone's died or a friend you know and you can't be there in person to honor them, and you have to be virtual with your family or friends from far away, we've created virtualmemorialguide.org as a free resource and tool for everyone out there to just be able to do this for free or for low cost, and figure out how to plan something like that. And for anyone, even without experience, this festival that I mentioned, Reimagine Life, Loss, and Love, is coming to its conclusion at the end of the month. And so we have a festival finale scheduled for August 30th at 12 p.m., 3 p.m. Eastern time, where we're going to bring some of our dose of togetherness all-stars. We've been bringing people together from all across the world, really. And we found on Zoom what's so powerful is though we can't be together in person, we have an opportunity to be with one another from far away that we never could have met, people that Andrew was just referring to, and maybe make some of those connections that otherwise we never would have made. And so let's just find the bright side of life, and this is what we have, and so let's make the most of it, and that's what we've been doing together. So we invite you to conclude the festival with us in that way, and then stay tuned for what we're going to be announcing in an ongoing way. Reimagine's not going away. At the end of this festival, we're going to be rolling out another festival coming up in the fall, and some incredible events that involve art. And the question I want to leave everyone with, and I'm going to turn back to you, is, how might you respond? We all have this chance and opportunity to figure out what we do next, how we confront these hard things. And Andrew and Emily have shown us that we can use our creativity and our voices to process what's around us and even make the world more beautiful. So thank you, everyone. If in the chat, by the way, I just want to make sure that we leave here with some great gratitude to Andrew and Emily, and maybe what you gleaned from the session. This is something else that we get to do on chat that we can't do on a live performance, is actually share. As Andrew mentioned, you leave a show and you might not even know how people feel, right? And then you have to watch the tape to see like what actually happened in the show. So here we have an opportunity to share our gratitude directly to the performers. So if you have a chance to jump in the chat right now and share what you're getting from them, that would be fantastic. Maybe I'll just turn it to you guys. Do you have any last thoughts you want to leave us with? I mean, I could just close, but I just want to see if you have anything hanging out there in your mind about what we've been doing, and anything you want to just share as we say goodbye.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about a topic that oftentimes at shows or wherever we feel like we're the Debbie Downers for bringing up death and grieving, and but I think it is always appreciated, but it's something that sometimes it's hard to center a whole conversation around that when you're not sure if people want to hear it. So this is a very welcome platform for us, and we hope that maybe we can do this in real human person connection one day.
Yeah, Andrew?
No, I think that was well said, and it felt great to be able to talk about some of the stuff with you and y'all's fans and our fans, and because it is important to us, and I think it's important to embrace. And yeah, it's cool that you guys are offering a community to talk about these sort of things, or building a community, I should say.
No, we're offering one and we're building one. The offer is here we are, and so we've taken this space together and filled it in with your voices and all these wonderful comments in the chat. I want to let everyone maybe unmute themselves so we can just say bye as a cacophony of sound. You can just see who's there, and we can just throw a big sound of noise that sounds like a bad feedback cycle, but we know is actually coming from a place of love. And thank you everyone who made the Art Responder series possible. Stacy Abrams, I just want to give you a big shout out. Stacy, where are you? Because this is the last Art Responders episode we have booked or planned. We worked with Stacy on our team, and Bruna and Cole and Carrie and everyone at the office for making this possible. We've done 10 episodes of these shows. Ooh, it sounds beautiful. I feel like the video's coming back. So let's mute and say goodbye. Everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well,
Thank you.
You guys are awesome.
It's great.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll get you that video soon. We're going to watch more concerts, more conversations, more fun, more love. And thanks for that great advice on that last question, Andrew. That was just took it home all the way. So see everyone on the flip side, and thanks again.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.